What is the David Moyes project, and is he going to get to complete it at West Ham? What's his final vision? I've got to be honest with you. I think that this is the best job that David Moyes has ever had. Yes, the West Ham one, and no, I haven't gone mad at all. I know he's had previous jobs. He's had the Everton job. He's had the Man United job. Big, massive, super club, right? Manchester United. Yet I still think this is the best job he's ever had. And I'm not just saying it because of the trophy. I'm saying it because of the backing and the long-term strategy. Look, he had the long-term strategy at Everton, but he didn't have the money. He's had the money at West Ham. I think, definitely in terms of gross, over 400 million spent at West Ham. Okay, doing net spend and we'll drag 100 million back for Declan Rice. But you get what I'm saying. He's been backed like he has at no other club at West Ham. So I think this is his best job. But is he going to get to complete it? And how close is he to completing what he might see as his ideal team, his perfect team? Gio alluded to a lot of this in a video yesterday, but I want to take it a stage further. I've been thinking about it quite a lot over the last few days for a few reasons. Number one, because Shim Titan, I can't be bothered to restart the video. I normally would at that point. Had that been the first 20 seconds, I'd have restarted the video. Because of Tim Steiten, done it, and the clarity which we've got about his role at the club over the last few days, it's made me wonder about David Moyes. We know that Steiten's here for the long haul, or certainly we understand the owner believes that to be the case. We understand he's been given more and more responsibility at the club, and we also know, because we've been told, that he wants to bring in younger players. But at what point and where does that happen? And at what point does that impact David Moyes? Because I'm not entirely sure that David Moyes wants to bring in young players. And why should he care in that respect? If he's going to look and see the impact of someone like James Ward-Prowse, he's been proven correct, right? But I do wonder how close he is to his final team. I think the midfield's there. No, do I think the midfield's there? I think in a way that he's almost got one spare, one reserve there. He's certainly there on the right-hand side, isn't he? I think whether you like it or whether you don't like it, I think he's pretty much there in central defence. You could argue that maybe he doesn't agree with that. That's why he's been chasing Harry Maguire for some time. But more or less, he's got it. He was chasing Nigel Gerd for the best part of 2 years. He got him and he paid over £30 million for him. Those two centre-halves, Nigel Gerd and Kurt Zouma, are pretty much David Moyes' top choices. So I think he's got it there. And I think you know where I'm going with this. It's fullback and striker. So how close is he going to get to doing those things? Now, I'm not going to overly labour the point, because I know Gio's going to do a video about this guy, and it means I'm going to have to go and click Google and find out his name. But it's the fella that's, I think his name's Grassi. I might have that wrong. He's scoring loads and loads of goals for Stuttgart in the Bundesliga. All right. I'm not going to overly talk about him. We'll let Gio talk about him. But he was a teammate of Mavropanos. He's been Stuttgart on loan. He's from Stade Rennais. He's signed. He has scored loads and loads of goals. Look, Harry Kane in the Bundesliga is scoring more than a goal a game. And this fella's scored more than Harry Kane. They're right up there. The irony, Stuttgart are right at the top. They've been struggling for a couple of years. And also Leverkusen, I believe, at the point of recording this, was second, and that's Steiten's old club. Anyway, don't worry about that sort of stuff. But there's one reason why we maybe wouldn't. Ask he's 27 years of age. David Moyes will not give a damn about that. And do you know what? I don't think I do either, which is sort of a bit contradictory, really, in terms of the David Moyes situation, because I also want David Moyes to bring youth through. I've massively contradicted myself there. Because I'm not sure you can have both. But it made me wonder about something about David Moyes. We all know, or at least you should do, that David Moyes, the person that David Moyes looks up to most in football, well, it's his dad, but apart from his dad, is Sir Alex Ferguson. That's the guy. That's the guy that David Moyes looks up to. And why not? Why not? Obviously, most successful British manager, all that sort of stuff. And you often wonder if he's looked at him and he's copied things from Sir Alex. And I was thinking about this when I was watching that David Beckham documentary. Gio said to me, watch the David Beckham documentary. So I did. Have you seen it? It's on Netflix. It's pretty damn good, I've got to say. I could talk about lots of things in that documentary. The one thing I am going to talk about is how David Beckham was introduced into the first team and the players before he was ever likely to play. It was the way that David Beckham talked about Sir Alex Ferguson like he was like a father figure. He was my second father. Now, I do understand that the relationship soured. Forget that it's soured. I'm talking about having a young player that's clearly a very, very talented player, taking him under your wing and making sure that he knew there was a path to the first team, his parents knew there was a path to the first team, and actually introducing him to the first team and getting him ready. So when he knew that when his day came and when he was going to get selected, he was used to the Old Trafford dressing room. He was used to all that stuff. He'd been in and around the first team. And he was a big one for that, Fergie. That documentary is all about David Beckham. But I'm pretty sure, Paul Scholes, Gary Neville, Ryan Giggs, whoever else would all have told that same story. So was Sir Alex Ferguson stern? Yes. Well, was he hard? Yes. Was he sort of gruff and grouchy? All of those things. Sir Alex Ferguson was all of those things. He was the boss. What he said goes. All of that. However, he did have a softer side and he did play the father figure. And I don't ever get the impression that David Moyes plays the father figure to the young players. And funny enough, it's actually something that I put to Stuart Slater. I spoke with Stuart Slater just yesterday on Patreon. At Patreon, we get lots of special guests on. And Harry Redknapp said exactly the same thing. We've had Harry Redknapp on, we've had Tony Carr on. We've actually had current West Ham scouts on there. We've had West Ham coaches. We've had loads and loads of people on. So yesterday I spoke with Stuart Slater. He wasn't a disappointment at all, by the way. What a lovely, lovely guy. And actually, I asked Stuart, what do you think? What do you think about this? What do you think about... I think I might have even mentioned the David Beckham Netflix thing. I said, what about you? Because Stuart Slater was that guy, right? He was that kid. He was you'll remember this if you're my vintage. You remember him coming through as the most talented young player coming through at West Ham. Amazingly skillful. And I said, what was it like for you? What was it like for you? Did that happen to you? What happened with Alex Ferguson and David Beckham? Did John Lyall do that to you? I'll tell you what, here's what he said. What was that like? Did you know you had a pathway through? And how much did the manager play their part in saying, I'm going to bring you through, basically?
The youth team had college days, so I'd be there on a Monday in the college. He'd have no hesitation in a small-sided game or keep ball or passing drill. You've got to come and train with the first team because you can deal with that. So once again, they took me down to the change rooms, got me the autographs when I was 13, 14. They did it the right way. John Lyall, Eddie Bailey, Tony Carr and Ronnie Gale, they were amazing. And that's why we had a conveyor belt, because they looked after you, they treated you, they wanted you, they knew that there was going to be a pathway, because at the time we did produce a lot of players, whether we were ready or not. John loved that, and the fans, they brought into that. They loved the homegrown coming through. Loved it coming through. I was there when I was 12 years of age. Spent 4 years as schoolboy and then a couple of years as apprentice and first year pro and coming through the ranks. But John Lyall gave you that opportunity, and the fans gave you that opportunity. And if you were any good, then we were a bit of a selling club like that. That's how we made our money. There was loads of players like us, like Kevin Keane, Alan Dickens, Georgie Paris, that came through the ranks, Tony Cottee, at that era, that we got a lot of money for, when that was big money in those days.
And there you have it, straight from the horse's mouth. This is not exclusive to Stuart Slater. We have had Harry Redknapp on, he said the same thing. Tony Carr said the same thing. We've had Mark Phillips on, who's a current West Ham coach. He said exactly the same thing. We had loads of people through football. They all say it. Give that path to the first team. I understand I might digress, but it's still part of it. What's David Moyes doing? What's part of his vision? Because it's certainly what the club are pushing doing. Is he going to get involved? Is he going to do that? I have a feeling he's going to fill those last I think in the last 3 remaining problem positions from elsewhere by making purchases. But surely we're going to have to see something like this happening at West Ham. By the way, if you want to see the whole of that interview with Stuart Slater, what a guy he is. That was a big moment for me. One of the best things about doing Hammers Chat is getting to speak to people who, you know, my footballing idols. 100% Stuart Slater was that. I loved it when he came through. I thought he was such a skillful and amazing player. If you, in fact, you want to go and see any of our interviews, you just want to help out Hammers Chat, which enables us to upload videos every single day. You can do so by coming and joining us on Patreon. Patreon's basically our third Hammers Chat channel. You can join us for as little as £3.60 a month. You get tons of extra content. I mean, loads of it. This video will be 2 minutes longer if I spent time telling you what it is. But we've got a free trial at the moment. So if you'd like to test it out, get a 7-day free trial of Hammers Chat Patreon. You do have to go and cancel it at the end of the trial because you've got to give your details. But we're sort of confident you won't cancel it. We think there's a lot of value there, and you get up to 30% off of our Hammers Chat store, which we think is going to be pretty damn good value when you've got Christmas coming up as well, when you're looking for those West Ham presents. Anyway, it's patreon.com/Hammers Chat. The link is in the description below. Ultimately, David Moyes' vision for West Ham, I think he's close. I think he's very, very close. But he's not going to do it this season. I cannot see 3 positions getting sorted out in January. And listen, let's be fair, right back and left back are not problem positions, only in terms of depth. I do think striker is a problem position. Maybe that gets sorted out in January. Maybe not. Maybe not. Gio did say in yesterday's video that he thought David Moyes was going to stay. And I thought he was going to leave at the end of the season. Let me just put that into context. I don't actually know. We do, funny enough, something else on Patreon. We do a Q&A where people ask us quick-fire questions. And someone said, very quickly, do you think David Moyes will be here at the start of next season? I said, no. I hadn't given it any thought. So I'm not going to sit here with any certainty and say that he's definitely going to be here. Or he's definitely going to leave. I don't know. I need to see a little bit more evidence, truth be known. However, I do think if he has one more season at West Ham, and I think you will get to see David Moyes' ultimate team. That sounds very grand, doesn't it? Look, you know what I mean.